Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Mango and Donovan and Bobo's voice, but really Mango's voice.
Right.
We were gonna do a Q&A episode today, which is why I had asked you all to send me your questions. But then something else happened, and now we need to have another episode. And today's episode is going to be about a lot of things because there's so much to discuss. But it really starts with the event that took place for us on New Year's Eve, which is when we got mugged at the beach, by the way, for context.
Yeah.
We got mugged at the beach and they took our phones, you know the deal.
Yeah.
And it's had us thinking, now that I have PTSD, we sort of have had this ongoing debate in our household, me, you, and Mango, about where to live. And we've been having this discussion for a few months now. And someone by the name of River actually recommended that we do a debate episode about this. So maybe this episode will be a debate.
Absolutely.
And the topic that she recommended was, can you guys discuss which is better to live in? Where is a better place to live between a third world country, like all the countries in Africa, or living in the first world, like all the countries in the West? Like, which is better? And this event has sprung that question back into our lives.
Right.
Because you guys know, I do not support this continent. Listen, that's a crazy thing to say as a black person.
No,
Where's Dr. Umar?
No,
Where's Dr.
Continue.
Guys. Living in the third world, they make it look cute on YouTube until you're at the beach trying to take your dog for a walk and niggas are lining you up. It's cute it's cute here.
Get your shit off.
It's cute.
Get your shit off.
Let me get my shit off.
Yeah.
I have not been a supporter of this. Okay, let me reframe. I support this continent.
Right.
I don't want to participate in its shenanigans. It's just not a livable place.
Okay.
I love black people. I love my people. I love our music. I love our culture. But we have to be honest when we discuss all the ways that white people have destroyed this place.
Right.
Woo! We are not honest enough about the extent to which colonialism has robbed us in ways that are unfortunately permanent.
Right.
And can only get worse in a lot of ways. And I'm someone that thinks like white people will eventually go extinct. And even with that belief, I do not see Africa getting any better. And I feel like it's very trendy right now. A lot of African Americans or black Americans or black people living in America are like, oh my God, the American Empire is so annoying. There's police in the streets. Bitch, I wish I had police. You know how much I would kill to live in a country with police? Yo, I pray. I become Christian. Every night I'm like, God, please send us some police.
Oh my.
We need some cops in this bitch.
No.
And I see you black Americans. I see you Americans in the non-continental diaspora. I'll call it that.
Sure.
I don't know if that's a real thing.
No, go for it.
I see you guys complaining about the spoils of living in empire. And it's, oh my God, the police are annoying us. Oh my God, the white people are doing braids. You know what the white people here are doing? Slavery. They're doing slavery. You guys are complaining about cultural appropriation. Nigga, I'm enslaved. Like, they're doing straight up slavery over here. It's bad. I wish the white people here were doing braids. At least then they would leave me alone.
They're doing that too.
I wish they would just sit down and do... Becky, I will do your braids for you, please. If that means I can even for 30 minutes stop you from doing slavery, I will do your braids. Because that will distract them from doing the slavery that they're currently doing here. So that's another thing, okay? You guys have jobs. You know, you guys have...
Good point.
You guys have a currency.
Good point.
Yo, the things I would do to have a currency. Yo, the things I would, to have to just like not live in anarchy. And you know, after living in America, I became a leftist, you know? I was like, oh my God, Marxism, yay. Black people should do Marxism.
Yeah.
Oh my God, anarchy.
Right.
You know, I was a 25-year-old that believed in anarchy until I came and lived in anarchy.
Okay. It's a good point. It's a fair point.
And you guys know how I feel about dictatorships.
Yeah.
You guys know it's the only thing I believe in politics. There's no conversation for me to have about politics that is not about dictatorships.
None at all?
None at all. Because I've experienced the pseudo-democracy of America. I lived there almost 10 years. I experienced the democracy of Europe. I grew up there as a child. I was born into the anarchy of Africa. And I'm still here. And the way I wish for order and security, security. Security is so fundamental to making any place worth living because it is a fundamental neurochemical need. Like the very first thing your brain needs fresh out the womb, two things, security and attachment. And you just will actually never have that here in a black body, in a black woman's body, especially.
For sure.
Because it's either like, I'm either getting mugged because I'm in the murder capital of the world, or I'm getting raped because I'm in the rape capital of the world. Right. So those are my two. When I leave the house, I'm like, what's it gonna be? Yeah. What's on the buffet of Africanness today? Rape or violence in the streets?
Right.
And I'm tired of that stupid shit. Take me back to empire. Take me back. Listen, I get it. America sucks. America's a dustbin. I understand the concerns that black people in the diaspora have, but come live in anarchy. And I see you all moving. I see you packing your bags, looking at Ghana. I see you guys looking at Cape Town. I see you black American. I see you guys in England. I see you guys moving to West. Listen, think twice before you jump from the frying pan into the fire. This is the fire. And that's my political take on this continent.
Have you gotten your shit off?
I've gotten my shit off.
Do you feel a little better?
This is very cathartic.
Okay,
actually.
good. No, I'm happy.
Yes.
I wanted you to get that off.
Donovan feels differently because you are born into empire. So you have and I appreciate that I was born into anarchy, you were born into empire. So our perspectives are clouded by that bias, the bias of what we were born into. Because the first, even before you're born, the shit that's happening in the womb and straight after you're born essentially defines who you will be for the rest of your life. And you being born in anarchy have a different brain you being born in empire have a different brain from me. I'm born in anarchy. I have a different brain from you. So we desire different things and we need different things. And we've been traumatized in different ways. But what is your motivation for living in the fire? Why should we choose the fire over the frying pan?
Interesting question.
Yeah.
When people talk about this continent, especially Africans who are from this place and trapped by that passport, they always talk about dysfunction. You guys go on and on. The lights don't work.
The lights don't come on, guys.
And then the cops are thieves. And you guys go on about dysfunction, and it's all true.
Yeah.
And I've been humbled in that truth, right? Because I've been living here for a year now. This has now become, I've lived what it's like at this point for nothing to work.
Yes.
So you guys are right in diagnosing that dysfunction. It's completely valid. It's frustrating. It drives you crazy.
Yeah.
So that's one side, all right? This is the grass over here.
Yeah.
But no one talks about what the price of functionality is, right? For example, we're in Africa, we're living an African life, we get robbed, we're traumatized, right?
Yeah.
We want to take a few days off, right?
Yeah.
You can do that here because nothing works anyway. No one takes their job seriously. No one has anywhere to be. No one has anywhere to go. so you can take a few off, you know, to just deal with the trauma of being from your place.
Yeah.
The problem in America is that when you get traumatized or awful things happen in your life, you got to get right back to the grind. That's the price of functionality. So for example, here the lights don't work, right? For like now 8 hours a day, there's just no power at all, right? That is because no one is really pushing themselves past the point of breaking it, right?
Yeah.
If someone has a bad day, they call off, right?
Yeah.
If someone just has a flu or something, the entire business is closed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In America, it's the exact opposite, meaning that you have to go to work the next day, no matter what happened. Your mom could have died, you could have lost a leg, you know, any reason, you have to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that is the psychological price of functionality. A place is only functional under late stage capitalism where people are pushing themselves to a point where they now become psychologically dysfunctional. For example, we use VPNs to watch all of the American shows that we like, right? So we turn our VPN and we start getting American ads again.
Yeah.
Why is every American ad for like 20-year-old men whose dicks don't work and like antidepressants that they'll just like send you in the mail for free and you like pop like a candy? That's the psychological cost of their dysfunctionality. So when you realize that Africa has a material dysfunctionality, the West has a psychological dysfunctionality, it becomes one, a question of grass is greener, and two, a question of which do you prefer.
Yeah, yeah.
And to me, I honestly think it's a dead tie. You get what I mean? Like there's something unlivable about the global South, about third world countries, about places that are still undergoing direct colonization.
Yeah, slavery, literally slavery.
Literally slavery.
Yeah.
But then there's also something about a place that has become so indulgent on the spoils of that slavery that they're now psychologically collapsing. So the question is, do I want to be in a place that is materially collapsing, where people do not have food to feed their children? People are just so desperate, jobless, they do anything? Or do I want to live in a place where people have become so gluttonous and psychologically comfortable that they actually now have their own kind of psychosis caused by too much internet porn and like online dating and like constant exposure to any little last thing that you want. It's a complicated idea and it's an even more complicated question. But do you agree with this idea that Africa or just third world countries that you could go live your quiet, simple farm life often have these direct material problems, as in the West has these mental, emotional, spiritual problems?
Yeah.
And it really just becomes a matter of which way do you prefer to die?
Yeah.
You know? Does that ring true to you at all?
It does. I definitely think you're right in that like both places come at a cost, because even I can admit the West is also a dump and it's on fire and it's and it's collapsing.
Right.
The problem, though, is that when you deal with material problems, they also come with additional psychological problems. Whereas if your material conditions are at least okay, you still have psychological problems, but you still just have less problems. Because if I had to choose between material problems and psychological problems, I would probably choose material problems. Right. But that's only if those material problems didn't also cause me
psychological problems.
Yeah, because in America, I was suicidal chronically. I was depressed. But here, I'm chronically anxious and I have PTSD. Sure, those guys didn't kill us, you know? They just took our phones. They just took, they took money, they took phones, they took material things. And that's not even the thing that saddens me. It's the emotional, the psychological injury that they've caused to me that saddens me. Because the injury is pretty permanent.
Right.
And I do think people can heal from PTSD, and I'm sure I'll get better. But there are just certain things that material conditions take away from you permanently that just make that life not worth living.
Yeah.
Not worth living in.
Yeah.
And it's something that I feel like the West denies a lot, which is that like your material conditions affect
everything.
Yeah, your psyche.
Yeah.
The West is a place inherently that intentionally undermines the extent to which our material conditions affect us. I mean, we just know that even just by knowing that what happens to you inside the womb that you developed in is literally just lays the foundation of who you're going to be forever. So if the womb has that much of an impact, imagine like once we're out the womb, how much of an impact our material conditions have on our brain.
Of course.
And I just think like the conditions here, the black condition in Africa.
Yeah.
It's because there's this so much propaganda from the West that colonialism ended. And it didn't even pretend, they're not even pretending to end it here.
Right.
Like, colonialism here is so, like, it's literally still happening. Like, it's truly, I feel like Americans at least switched slavery off. A little bit.
I get what you mean. No,
you
I
know,
can continue.
They're not doing like direct, like, you know how you were saying you saw that white woman and her Zimbabwean gardener was just on the floor.
Right.
And she was yelling at him. Yeah. And it's like, that happens here.
Yeah.
You know, it's like...
I get what you mean. What's up? Oh, it's a little lizard. It's just a lizard.
Is that a lizard? The psychological implications of being a colonial subject are just so underlooked. Like, no one ever really talks about them because that is the crux of living in Africa. We are colonized subjects. We are not yet Africans. We are still colonized subjects. And the more we deny that is the more we suffer as colonized subjects.
Yeah.
Because we can't overcome that.
Yeah.
But we do have to accept that we are currently colonized subjects, and the West, you guys still are colonizers. Like the amount of pain that you guys cause every day.
Yeah.
Like, just know that it's real.
I think my question is, and this is where we always disagree, because you're an African and I'm an American, as far as our passports, when we go to the airport, what we show.
Yeah.
But when you realize that colonialism, white supremacy, and late stage capitalism, or honestly like neo fucking oligarchy, whatever this system is, right?
Yeah.
It's a global system, right?
Right.
You know, the old phrase was that the sun never set on the British Empire because they literally conquered the whole world. So the whole world is living in some sense of a colonial hangover.
Right.
Except we're not even hungover yet. We're still drunk. We're still drunk on the power, drunk on the capital. As far as where you live, there's no escaping it. And that's something that I learned, right? Because I was trying to leave the West to escape the feeling of being a colonized subject. And in that sense, I went right from the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah.
That was a mistake that I made. But something I learned that I feel like maybe Africans should accept as well is that there is no escaping that system. You can escape your proximity to it, of course. You know, you can go from living directly where like the lithium is mined to living in New York, okay, but you will always be a black person in a white supremacist structure. And you know, I've been reading The Wretched of the Earth by Frantz Fanon, which is like, if anyone wants to understand colonization,
please.
God, it's fucking perfect. And he gets into the psychology of it. And the idea is that when you are a colonized subject, you are constantly being occupied. You always feel occupied. You have no home. If you're a black person, you are not at home virtually anywhere. Anywhere that you'd want to be. Right. So that leads to a constant sense of anxiety because I'm always being occupied. You know, like when like you have a stepdad you hate and he's fucking in the house and you just never feel at home. You just like run from your room to the house. It's like to your, you know, it's that's what just being occupied feels like.
Right.
So
that's what being black feels like.
Black people everywhere on this planet feel that anxiety because you are still undergoing a state of colonization.
Right.
The problem is that that anxiety now needs an outlet. It needs catharsis because it just builds tension. You cannot put that much cortisol in a person's body without them being on edge all the time. But I can't take that out on my colonizer because they have this power over me. They have systemic institutional power over me. So we end up taking it out on each other. We end up blaming each other. And I think that although Africans are completely right to like demand more for themselves, there's no reason why you guys should be from like the richest countries in the world as far as real things that matter. But your material conditions be this and the lights don't work and it's not safe for women and all these things. But I also want us to understand that that impulse to blame ourselves and our environment and each other is a direct reflection of not being able to take that anger out at the right person.
Right. Right.
So it's not that I don't understand where like all Africans are coming from.
Yeah.
For example, it's fucking hilarious. There was this thing in Ghana, in Accra, called Afrochella,
yeah.
where like all these black Americans go to Ghana and pretend to be African for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they come back and it's like, oh my God, I'm moving tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's funny, there's all these women that went to Afrochella and all these men that went to Afrochella were like tweeting that, getting that off these black Americans. And then the Twitter replies would be all these Ghanaians like, this is only fun when you have a European passport and can go home.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows Africa is fun. No shit. It's the most fun place in the world. The problem is that it doesn't function.
Yeah.
Basic things that you need to live do not work.
It's like, would you live at, what's that music festival where everyone goes and just does acid?
Woodstock. Or no, I mean Coachella.
No, there's the other one where they just go. It's just a Burning Man.
Burning, yeah.
Africa is Burning Man.
Right, do you want to live?
Do you want to live at Burning, or do you want to go to Burning Man for 3 days?
Yeah.
Do you want to go there for 3 days, do your mushrooms, do your acid, get crazy, be naked, you know, just make out.
Another thing.
Do you want to live there?
People don't realize, when I try to explain material conditions to like people, I always use the idea of a spawn point in a video game.
Yeah.
You know what that is? Like just when you die, you reincarnate in a second spot. So imagine, and white people really try to imagine this.
Yes.
Imagine your spawn point was like a township in South Africa.
Listen.
Where there is no running water.
Listen.
There is no electricity literally every single hour of the day.
Yeah.
Your school is a joke.
It's not, it's underneath a tree.
And there actually isn't a bathroom in it.
Yeah.
Because the government said they were going to make bathrooms and then they just stole the money.
Yeah, literally. So you cannot even urinate.
And we're doing capitalism, by the way.
Yeah.
So your spawn point is this, and we're doing this draconian, insane system.
Yes. And they have AIDS.
Right. So imagine that being...
Yeah, that's really what your spawn point
That's
is.
your spawn point.
Yeah.
So, you know, to not like really accept what these people are going through and try to help them is insane to me.
Yeah.
But that being said, understanding that you cannot really escape what this system fundamentally is globally. All you can really control is the extent to which you want to engage with it and be reminded by it. So something that drove me a little mad in the West is also doing a form of direct slavery. It's just obfuscated through all these aesthetics and cultural myths and tropes that people don't realize it.
Yeah.
Like if you look at New York is a Manhattan, let's say, for example. It's a slave economy where Mexican men ride around on electric bikes and deliver goods and services to white women that stay in their homes and write articles about those Mexican men and the rights that they deserve.
Yeah.
So it's like America is also this direct binary apartheid state. It's just obfuscated and gaslights you into believing something else. So coming from a Western perspective, there's something more comforting about the more direct racism, the more direct apartheid.
Yeah.
Living in South Africa where direct legal governmental institutional apartheid only ended 28 years ago.
Yeah.
There's something refreshing about that because it's less mentally taxing. I no longer have to read between the lines with the colonizer. I know where they stand.
Yeah, they're more direct.
I know where I stand.
Yeah.
Another thing is there is that class consciousness of everyone collectively understanding that. You know how frustrating it is to be American and like listen to people you knew and respect think like Elon Musk earned his money?
Yeah.
As opposed to you just talk to like the average South African. It's like, these guys, they just stole. They just like, they don't do anything. You know, it's like, so that level of psychological comfort is actually something that I think Africans should appreciate because it really is a gaslighting issue. It's the issue of something being very, very similar and not being able to admit it as opposed to something being blatantly obvious and it being undeniable.
Interesting.
You know?
Well, that's an interesting point, and it sort of brings me to another question I have, which is, I think a lot of people already understand the Black condition, like the effects of colonialism on Black people, and regardless of where you are, whether you're in the global South or you're in the seat of empire, but what that is. Do you ever wonder what the effects of colonialism are on white people? What is it psychologically like to be a colonizer? Both here, Australia, Europe, or just America. What are the psychological ramifications? Where would you rather be a white person? Let's start it there. Because I look at white South Africans and I'm like, you guys scammed everyone. They scammed white Americans, you guys are being robbed.
You guys are being duped.
You are being robbed.
That's hilarious.
The white people here are fucking doing slavery. You niggas were sold into slavery.
Right.
Here, they're still doing, listen.
Right.
They're still, and I wonder about that when I look at the material conditions of white millennials in America, or white Gen Z in America, or in Europe.
Yeah.
Look, the way you guys live in little cardboard boxes. Do you know the white people here are living in castles? They're living in castles and they have multiple slaves.
Yeah.
And they don't lift a finger.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You got...
It's disgusting.
Yeah. So they have it the best. The white people that stayed, they were the ones that were like, nah, slavery till the end, my nigga.
They died.
They were like, nigga, I'ma stand beside this slavery. I will never leave. That's what it means to be a settler. It's like, I will never leave this bitch.
Yeah.
The whites who went back to Europe or like back to America, I feel like we're like, okay.
Let's be reasonable.
Let's be a little reasonable.
Let's give them two rights to rub together.
Yeah. Let's give them two rights.
It's interesting that you asked that question because I view the process of colonization from the colonizer's perspective, right?
Yeah.
From white people's perspective, as a hopeless erosion of the human spirit for profit. It's a direct trade-off.
Yeah.
I'm trading what it essentially means to be human for gold, for minerals, for, to take that step. Something we were talking about the other day is it's insane because white people came here, they took the land and they took the labor. So it's like, now you have to stay to work on the land that I stole from you, right?
Yeah.
That takes a certain amount of erosion of the human spirit. There is a cost to that, right? And I think the cost to that is a really simple thing when you sort of look at what white people or any colonizer claims to believe. So it's hilarious that, white South Africans or white Americans, they'll claim to believe in democracy, right?
Yeah.
Which is the idea that all humans are equal. Liberalism, right?
Yeah.
But when someone is essentially racist or essentially a monster and is trying to solve the dissonance of claiming that they believe in democracy, what they do is just put you beneath being a human.
Yes.
So in their mind, it's like, all humans do have equal rights, but they're monkeys.
Yeah, they're not human.
Right. So that is what cognitive dissonance does to the colonizer's mind.
Yes.
It forces you to look at human beings every single day and view them as less than human. And that causes an erosion of your soul, an erosion of your ability to feel love.
It's a suicide.
It is a spiritual suicide.
Yes.
You have to sacrifice what it essentially means to be human, which is to see the humanity in another human's eyes.
Yeah.
Something I think about, like when the first settlers touched down on foreign land and they looked into the eyes of the people, did they just not see them as human?
They didn't.
Because
they clearly didn't.
As a species, all species have that. Like Mango looks at another dog and says, well, that's another dog.
Yeah.
The question is, did they truly not see us as human?
Yeah.
Or did they kill that side of themselves for the extraordinary opportunity of being able to pillage? And I feel like that's the question.
Yeah.
And that's what white people are dealing with. And by the way, it's something I'm very empathetic to. There's something that Frantz Fanon says in The Wretched of the Earth, which is as much as he understands the plight of what being black means, he goes, I would never trade it for the world. Because what they're going through.
The dead bodies that they carry with them.
He has this incredible quote where it's every time two white people speak, there's a dead body between them.
I was literally about to say that.
We don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't feel
And that's the lightness of being black. It's I think it's, when my brother was getting married a few years back, and in South Africa we have what's called a traditional marriage, which is like you marry according to your cultural tribe, like where you come from. Part of our way of getting married is like you dress up in your traditional attire and it happens at your mother's house. So like it's not like a big faraway thing. It has to happen at home. And like all of you, like everyone has to be there. Like, like the whole family has to be there, like both families. And so we had this wedding in just my mom's house, just like in a regular neighborhood, with some white neighbors.
Yeah.
And the way they were so upset at the sight of black joy, I just saw them peeping out their windows like, why are these niggers having fun?
Yeah.
It's that I think like that that inability to like create joy is what happens when you erode your own spirit through like dehumanizing someone else. And like I think that is a cost of whiteness, the inability to experience visceral joy, not drugs, not dopamine, like literally just joy from the inside of your stomach. You know, like I don't think white people have that. And what's sad is that I think I look at the white people today, I look at white Gen Z, I look at white millennials, the people listening to us now, and I'm like, well, you guys are just sitting ducks. Like, you guys didn't even do anything.
I agree.
Your ancestors really sold you out.
I agree.
And I also think the cost of whiteness today is like hating your lineage. Like so many white people like hate their ancestors because of what the baggage they gave to them. They passed on the baggage of slavery, the baggage of colonialism. I feel like a lot of white people today, and I'd be curious to hear from a white person, but this is just my understanding from how I hear them talk about their families. I feel like a lot of white people today just hate where they come from. They just like hate what it means to be white. They hate the baggage that their forefathers brought in with them. They're like, shut up, mom. They like they just hate. And that's also something really heavy. Like, imagine hating your lineage.
Well,
imagine how alienating and lonely. Like, as Black people, we have the privilege of like always feeling like I'm walking with my ancestors.
It's very
like
important.
My people are with me. Like they still fuck with me. I still fuck with them. We're still on the same team. I think like life is less scary in some ways because we have that. But for white people, it just seems very alienating.
Right.
Which is probably why they're so much more ruthless, because they don't feel like they have a team of ancestors behind them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You figured it out. That's exactly it. At the core of what colonization is the idea of the individual. You know, there's another great point Frantz Fanon makes of you can't actually decolonize or end this oppressive system through the individual lens. So the ultimate propaganda that keeps it all together is the idea that change comes from the individual. And so long as you're perceiving life like that, whether it be Black people doing it, white people doing it, you will be doing the colonial model. And the only way to transcend that and break down that oppressive system would be to not think as an individual, to think as a collective. The system cannot be transcended by the individual. And living here and learning more about people's belief systems here, I really do feel the power of believing and being grateful for your ancestors. You know, calling on them when you feel like you just need help and like life is a bit too much for you. Being close to them. Right? I truly believe, and it's been confirmed by my time here, I think, that your ancestors almost kind of control your luck in life. You know? They control where things end up. And it's nice, if you believe in any of that stuff, to feel like you have someone on the other side rooting for you. So to have hate at the idea of your former ancestors, I couldn't imagine that. I think you may need a good relationship with them to navigate
move
this
forward.
road. I don't know, you know, I have no strong feelings about it, but it's something that you should consider. That it really is your relationship with your ancestors, and in your more director life, your relationship with your family. That determines where your life goes. So the idea that white people would look back and feel shame or hatred or any of those things. The idea that Black Americans would look back and see shame or hatred, like, oh, my ancestors were slaves. And every dope quality you have came from some magical person in your lineage.
In your lineage,
So the idea of hating them, I don't know. That comes with that.
To hate your ancestors is to hate who you are, fundamentally. So I think white people have to deal with a level of self-loathing that we don't really. Well, our self-loathing is different. It's very external. I think theirs is really internal. But this is the saddest thing that I think that is currently perpetuated today, like the way Africans feel about themselves because of where they're from. The idea that the failures of a system that isn't even yours should be internalized. That's
like,
real.
Something that we have an argument here a lot is like, after apartheid ended, they put a Black government in. And then that black government kind of run the country to shit. And now Black people blame other Black people for the country being shit because you technically have Black leaders. But it's like white people never left control in Africa, right? They just changed the way it looked, you know? White face, black mask.
Yes,
you know?
literally.
So the idea that Africans are now blaming themselves and each other from the system that white people are still running is really counterproductive.
Yeah.
Because like, you guys are dealing with enough, why blame yourself and feel the weight of something that isn't your fault? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that was a really disturbing psychological tool they use to like, let's make them hate themselves by just obfuscating the direct hand of colonization, do like neo-colonization, put black faces in front of it, and now
so they don't know we're still doing
themselves as failures.
Yeah.
You know? It's interesting.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what's happening. Do you think like white people will ever give up the benefits of slavery so that we could all just like have more fun?
Well, you know, this is the first generation of white people that aren't experiencing the benefits of the empire, right?
That's true.
They have less wealth than their parents. They can't afford to buy homes. They're also stuck in the gig economy. They're also on OnlyFans, you know, showing their toes for $11.
Yeah.
So they never inherited much.
Yeah, they were sold into slavery.
It's truly coming to a complete collapse. That's the first part. The second part is I saw a study the other day, and people in America ranked their mental health lower than anyone anywhere has ever ranked their mental health. So as far as what we were talking about before, like the psychological result of this system, they're inheriting it worse as ever. So they're no longer inheriting any of the material spoils, but they're inheriting all of the psychological burden of essentially being a monster, of running a monstrously cruel system.
Yeah, while they no longer run it.
While they no longer have a house.
Yeah.
So with their parents, they at least got to like cope with the disastrous weight of running the world into the ground in like a nice house in Long Island with indoor-outdoor living. You know what I mean? So now when you're feeling that weight in a studio in Chelsea, with a standing desk,
in Brooklyn,
you know,
in Williamsburg,
it feels a little heavier.
It
feels a little heavier in the studio.
I feel you. Go
than it did in Montauk.
Yeah.
And you know, I do really credit white people with the jump this generation have made. But because I believe in dialectical materialism, I don't think it's because they're these monstrously more moral people.
Interesting.
It's that the contradictions were heightened. Their material conditions decreased. The actual...
And then it was no longer worth it.
Right.
And
my personal opinion is like whiteness went out the door after the 2008 financial crisis.
If
you weren't rich before then, if you were a white person who was stuck in a studio apartment, when Lehman went liquid, no. If you missed 2008, it's like, you're not white anymore, buddy.
You're one of us.
You're right.
Welcome, bitch.
Do white people know that?
No,
that if they didn't make it before the 2008 financial crisis,
clipped
they're
for
fucked.
you.
It's clipped, my boy.
It is clipped, guys. Welcome. Join my cult. You're one of us now. Unless you're in South Africa. You are one of us, my friend.
No, they still got it. They fooled you niggas.
The white South Africans stole from white Americans, and you guys need to fight them. You guys need to come here and fight them. You need to come get your white privilege back. They stole that shit. It's very interesting. I think that's why I enjoy America more on a white people level. It's like I enjoy living with white people who are also slaves.
Facts.
It's like, I like white slavery. Isn't that why the Irish are so cool? Like, I've never met an Irish I've never met an Irish bitch I didn't like. Yeah. I meet an Irish and I'm like, you and me. Yeah. We see each other. Because like they really were slaves.
You know, anytime I've ever talked about colonization around like an Irish person, it's always like, and another thing, they made us make the pigs. And they always like add on. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. Whatever that anger is, like they have that shit in.
No,
they have that shit inside of them too.
No, shout out to Irish. But yeah, it's like, you know, white Americans, white Europeans, your people sold you into slavery. You need to go fight your parents.
Yeah.
They sold you into slavery. You need to go get in your car right now. Drive to your mom's house in the Hamptons with a baseball bat. Break every single window.
Because she sold you into slavery.
She sold you into slavery. She owes you an apology. You need to show her this podcast. And tell her to give us money.
Because it's like they also stole money from you too. Because it's like you have student loan debt and then they voted for Trump.
Yeah.
So it's like, can you just... They're taking money from you.
Like, why do your parents hate you? You guys need to be more salty about that.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel that for like white Americans and especially white Brits. I'm like, yo, I see you. Your country's Zimbabwe. England is Zimbabwe.
I saw a story about these Ukrainian immigrants that were fleeing the war, went to London, saw the material conditions, and just went right back to Ukraine.
Yeah.
And then let's go back to the Donbass. I miss the Donbass.
Listen,
they just went to Peckham and they were like, I miss the Donbass.
No, you couldn't pay me to live in London. You couldn't pay the ghetto.
It's interesting because...
It's the ghetto. You British people need to go fight the Queen. You need to go dig her up from inside her grave and beat that bitch up. You need to go fight her.
In the Wretched of the Earth, he talks about the idea that colonization cannot end until there is like a proverbial birth of a new man and woman, you know, until there is a new kind of person in the world. Colonialism can't end. And you really realize that when you sort of think about how many people are like NPCs and shit, just like non-playable characters.
Yeah.
So if the game is colonization and most people are NPCs, what do you think is going to happen?
No.
So there needs to be a birth of a new kind of person.
There does,
a person who speaks differently, a person who holds different beliefs, a person who, you know... And until that happens, until there are new kinds of women, new kinds of men, the system can't end. And I think about that because I do think that is an opportunity white people have. Am I hopeful whether or not they're going to take it? Not really. I don't really hold my breath for white people anymore. But they do have an opportunity, right? You have an opportunity to be a part of this new kind of person. That could literally exist and create a society that isn't doing colonization.
I feel like Germans are those people. Can I shout out Germans real quick?
I have a lot of thoughts about Germans because I love them, but you got to watch them.
No. You need to give Germans a chance.
I love them. I think they're incredible. They're so rational. It's why they did that thing. But they're really rational people. They're rational people. But that's why they need to be watched.
But I see Germans, and they're like, nah, being a Nazi is not it.
Yeah, because they're rational.
I respect that. I respect that they came to that conclusion.
Right.
Americans have not come to the conclusion that being a Nazi is not it.
This is why I respect Europeans, because they're rational enough to look at capitalism and go, this isn't a reasonable system. This is so dumb. Americans still like, oh, gung-ho. But like, Europeans are like, this is not going to work. Everyone's 45 and sterile. You know? But I think that 2023 and just moving forward, the world has a lot of opportunity for change. I'm not holding my breath that it's going to get better, but we should at least look at this opportunity.
We should.
Like, it's interesting that there are 13-year-old white women from Montauk that are reading Frantz Fanon.
I
find that interesting. And they're like going to their parents and they're like, fucking slave owner. That's why you own slaves, Dad. And then they go back to their room that he bought with the general inheritance from the slavery, but they're reading in the room, and that's interesting.
They're reading,
So it's interesting and it's an opportunity. It's in the same way we were talking about Africa the other day. And a lot of people probably already know this, but it seems as if the global financial system is going to split. And on one side is going to be America and Europe, and the other side is going to be Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, you know? So there might be two monetary systems coming. And Africa could potentially get onto the other monetary system, say fuck you to all the Western countries they owe money to, and just cook, you know? Finally be able to trade amongst each other without fear of sanctions when you kick white people off of your land, you know? Weird shit like that. It's an opportunity, just like white people have an opportunity. So I think both white people and black people have this opportunity to be new kinds of men and women. Whether or not we take the opportunity.
People are taking it. I like Gen Z.
I hope so.
If you're Gen Z, I do fuck with you, fundamentally. I think, like, Gen Z are like, fuck this shit. Let's be new people. And I like that. And, okay, I want to play a really fun game.
Go for it.
Let's play a really absurd game. Let's shout out our favorite white people.
Oh, I love this. Like, holy shit, that's so funny.
Because I love the French. I know they get a bad rep. I like white French people. I like that they're unpleasant. They're just moody, nihilistic, and I like that because I just think, like, if you're gonna be white, why would you be so happy about? Isn't it kind of rude?
I get that.
To be like a jubilated white person.
I get that.
Like, what are you so happy about? Slavery? What got you so? Because you go to California and they're like, oh my God, hi. Why are you so preppy today? What's got you so preppy? Is it slavery? Like, what could possibly have you so happy? Mm-hmm. Be a little, just like read the room.
Yeah.
I feel like the French read the room a little.
Interesting.
You know?
You should have the white people award.
Yeah. I think the Greeks should win the white people award because they said, fuck the economy. The Greeks are the true,
I wish we could take all Africans to Greece to know that you guys are not the laziest people.
No,
there are countries that function even worse.
So Greece, you guys, you said fucking economy. Mm-hmm. Fuck it, let's go sit by the beach. Mm-hmm. I like that. Mm-hmm. That's the most anti-capitalist white people in the just in the world. So where are you at? Who are your favorite whites?
Something you've watched progress over the last year is when we left, I literally hated America more than any last place on the planet. Yeah. And the further I've been removed for it, the more I appreciate it. The more, like, you'll just see me be like, America, like, USA. Like, whenever, like, something works, like, we use both banks here. Yes. And we use South African banks and American banks, and I'm proud of my American banks. Yeah. They only steal from me a little bit. Your banks steal from you every day. So it's like little things like that. Yeah. And my favorite white people are now American white people.
Shout out American white people. Yeah.
Kind of, you know.
New York, like northeastern whites. Specifically. And whites from Alaska. Yeah. No, white people who are cold. I fuck with you guys. I fuck with you.
Yeah. I like white people who slum it out. Like, there's a certain kind of white guy in New York. He's usually Jewish or Italian, where he hangs out with black people so much he starts looking black, and he gets the temp fade. Yeah. Like, you know, like he starts cutting his hair at like black barbers, and he smoked so many Newports, he just becomes a darker grayish color. Yeah. And then like he's just always hanging out with niggas, so cops also like look at him a little straight. And he's literally, as far as white people's ability to step into the fire, I find American white people really interesting.
They're able to do that.
You get what I mean? Like, they will really live in a studio in Canarsie.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, unironically.
You get what I mean? Yeah. And the more you meet other white people, the more you find, like, Europeans or, like, Australians or other white people's critiques of America, like, shut up. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, but, like, can Europeans shut up about racism? You're so much worse. Like, in every single way. Yeah. It's like Europeans, I respect them. They're, like, so much better with climate change shit. When it comes to racism, it's like you actually have to explain to them what it is. Like, at least American white people, like, know what racism is. Yeah. And they don't, like, still have a ceremony where they, like, wear blackface and go around the street. Like, they're not fucking insane. The idea that, like, Europeans look at America and scoff at it, it's like, you guys, first of all, we bankroll your whole economy, so, like, shut up or we'll turn the back off.
Look at Empire, guys.
The deal after World War II was that we will pay for everything if you shut up and side with us against the Soviets. Guys, like, you don't get to have an opinion on us. Sorry, this is just
the American has come out.
No, I'm sorry.
He's entered the room.
I'm sorry. No, because Europe it has all of America's problems, but worse. It'll probably collapse first. So it's like, I hate the idea that they feel pious on top of
Europe is better than America. So white Americans are better than white Europeans, but Europe is better as a place than America.
Everyone in Europe is 47 and unemployed.
Yeah, but they have a house.
That's not an economy can't be making cheese and like
they disagree. They disagree. Make your cheese, my niggas.
I didn't mean to just go on my anti. I'm a Eurosceptic. Fuck the EU.
Yeah, there we go. Shout out Canadians.
I like Canadians.
I like reasonable white people. Canadians are always reasonable.
Yeah, but so the thing about Canada is it's just like 6 oil tycoons in a trench coat. So it's like not really a country. It's just like an oil mining operation with like a flag and healthcare a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say Canadians are the Libras of the zodiac signs. Yeah. And Americans are the Leos. Yeah. Americans are the Leos. I think that's all white people.
Yeah. Well, this has been our list of white people.
Yeah. Well, there we have it, guys. White people. So it's just us ranting about white people for 53 minutes.
That's what we should name this.
Yeah. Ranting about white people for 53 minutes. Thank you for listening. And if you're white, let us know your thought. What is it like to be white?
It's interesting.
In today, like in big 2020, what are the vibes?
No one's asked you guys what you thought for a really long time.
Yeah, and I think you guys are neglected. And that's my cause. I think...
This is our Candace rebrand?
Yeah.
No one is more disrespected than the white man.
Yes. I think we need to protect white people.
We turn around, we've been wearing White Lives Matter shirts this whole time. Kanye comes up from the bush.
Yeah. This video is sponsored by Kanye West and Candace Owens. Yeah, no, white people, let us know. Yeah. I do care what white people think, because I know what black people think. I already know, like...
That's true.
How I get it. Yeah, so it's like, I want to hear from white people.
Yeah. I just want to know how to not die.
Yeah, yeah. But no, white people, how does it feel to be white and Gen Z in big 2023?
Do you feel like a slave?
Yeah, how's your slavery? And like, I can help you out because I've been, I've been there.
Yeah,
let's link. Yeah. Like, let's collab.
No, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
It's so funny how like, after like the Trump presidency, white people are like, it's like the government doesn't care about you.
Yeah, and it's like, welcome. That's been being black, my nigga. Yeah. Come join us.
It's like they don't care about our women's bodies. Wow.
Yes. Welcome.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, please let us know how do you feel as a wife? Are you okay? How's your mental health? Do you need money?
Okay.
Should we send you money? I love us getting robbed, but offering white people to send them money.
That is being African.
That's fundamentally what it is.
Yeah.
Actually, please send us money. We got robbed. And so that we can move to the Hamptons. So then we'd have electricity you'd get so much more episodes.
This show would be so trash in the Hamptons though.
Why?
Because we would just become really vapid materialistic individuals. It'd just be like us in the Hamptons and it's like, so we're in the house.
Yeah, I'd be like, this is my new ass. Yeah.
I'd have like a white slave. I'd have like Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
This is my helper. This is Mitt.
Yeah. Help us get to the Hamptons. That's the Patreon goal. Yeah, comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Yeah.